Can I ask you, Lesya Vasilenko, how you plan to protect yourself? We've heard your president call on civilians to use Molotov cocktails if they come across, Russian units. And we've heard members of parliament say they've armed themselves with Kalashnikovs for their own protection. What do you have, and how do you hope to stay safe along with your family?
I have an AK-47, I have a PM, and I have in my home with my family a number of other weapons which we intend to use for self-protection, for defense of our home, of our land, and of our children. I have all my family with me, both my parents and my husband's parents. All three of my children are with me. We have a lot to protect. Not just the values that we are fighting for, not just the freedom, not just the democracy, not just the principle of a sovereign state, but also I have my family to protect and to take care of. As many other MPs, I have received the weapons officially because the whole country is in a martial law and lives under martial law, which also means total mobilization of the population. Total mobilization means that anyone who has two legs and two arms or other possibilities to carry a gun carries that gun and defends himself, herself, the families, the close ones, and the people around them until the very end, until the aggressor is out of our country, and until our borders are restored, and until Ukraine has fought and stood up for its right to remain an independent sovereign state.
А хто ви такі? Які вчення? Звідки ви? Які вчення? Ви що, росіяни?
Да.
Якого хера ви тут робите?
Ну, сейчас наш с вами разговор ни к чему не приведет.
Вы оккупанты,
Вы-
вы фашисты, вы
мы-
пришли на нашу землю.
Хорошо.
Какого хера вы пришли
Мы-
с оружием к нам?
Кто сказал?
Возьмите семечки, положите сырыми,
Хорошо.
чтобы хоть подсолнухи росли, когда вы здесь
Хорошо.
ляжете.
Сейчас наш разговор ни к чему не приведет. Давайте не будем усугублять эту ситуацию. Пожалуйста.
Как усугублять
Пожалуйста,
ситуацию?
не будем усугублять ситуацию. Наш с вами
Ребята,
разговор ни к чему не
Ребята,
приведет.
положите в карманы
Ничего не
семечки.
решит. Наш с вами разговор.
Я поняла, положите семечки или
Хорошо.
семена цветов.
Я-
Вы здесь семенами ляжете.
Сделаю.
Вы
Так,
пришли на мою землю.
Хорошо, я вас выслушал.
Вы понимаете?
Я вас
Вы
выслушал.
оккупанты.
Хорошо.
Вы враги.
Да.
И вы уже с этой секунды прокляты.
Да,
Я вам отвечаю.
все. Теперь послушайте меня.
Я вас услышала.
Не будем усугублять ситуацию, пройдите.
А куда уже усугублять? Вы пришли, блядь, непрошенные
Хорошо.
твари. Конченые.
Welcome to Straddled Events. On this channel, we bring you the truth. Sometimes the truth is quite ugly, unbearable, and you just don't want to deal with it. But on this channel, you're going to get it anyway. You are straddling between the fence of good versus evil, right versus wrong. And on this channel, we're going to tell you to do better. Let's go. This video is for all females over the age of 18 years old. It is about arming yourself, learning how to protect yourself, learning how to shoot, how to kick, how to do whatever you need to do to protect yourself. Do you know any type of special skills that you could use? Any type of techniques? I want to introduce you to the women, some women of Ukraine that are arming themselves, and other women that are arming themselves, getting ready to fight to protect what is yours, not allowing some dictator, some evil ass tyrant come in and steal your land, kill your family, and you have to flee from your land. You know, I wish that the world was not set up the way it is, because man has invented this invisible line when it comes to territory, to separate people. And that's what this war is about. It is about territory. It is about one man that selfishly want to rule, control with all of his power, and he's ruining millions of people's lives. A lot of women did not leave the country. There are women that stayed behind to fight, that want to protect their families and their children and stand up for what is right. It is time for all of us women over the age of 18 years old to learn how to shoot a gun, practice, learn survival skills, because I think this is where we are headed. And we have to be ready. You know, we have to get ourselves ready for what is coming. There is no turning back from what is going on with this war. Y'all don't see that Putin don't give a damn about those people? He don't give a damn. He won't even much be able to repair Ukraine if he did take over Ukraine, because Russia is hurting by itself. He do not give a damn. And he thought he would just be destroying the Ukrainian people, but at the end of the day, his people will suffer greatly, just as well as the Ukrainian people, because they are being cut off from around the world on behalf of this overgrown man with this little boy behavior that should have stayed inside the condom. The people are devastated. Their families have been uprooted, broken apart. The men are going one way back into war. For the women with their children are going another way. But you have this group of women that want to protect their families and their children and stand up for what is right. It is time for all of us women over the age of 18 years old to learn how to shoot a gun, practice. You know, we have to get ourselves ready for what is coming. There is no turning back from what is going on with this war. At the end of the day, his family is not being bombarded with shells and fire and all this hell. His family is sitting back in their mansions, eating their good food, watching everybody else scramble for their lives and figure out how they're gonna make it. The war is about tearing down people, ordinary, everyday people. That's what this is. While the rich at the top, they're only being affected by their money. Their family may be affected because their family may not agree with them. Because if Putin has a family and your family is sitting back watching mothers and children and grandmothers and people, students just dying behind some selfish old bastard, shame on their asses also. Because they're just as ridiculous as he is if you don't think that this is wrong.
A Ukrainian activist took on the British Prime Minister for not doing more to help her country. Watch.
You're talking about more sanctions, Prime Minister, but Roman Abramovich is not sanctioned. He's in London. His children are not in the bombardments. His children are there in London. Putin's children are in Netherlands, in Germany, in mansions. Where are all these mansions seized? I don't see that. I see that my family members, that my team members are saying that we are crying. We don't have where to run. This is what is happening, Prime Minister.
She also suggested the West should impose a no-fly zone over Ukraine to protect civilians from Russian bombs. Joining us now is that Ukrainian activist, Daria Kaleniuk, Executive Director of the Anti-Corruption Action Center, a Ukrainian advocacy organization. Daria, thank you so much for being with us. First, I just want to know if you've had a chance to speak to your family inside Ukraine and how they're doing.
I spoke to family, I spoke to my team members, and everybody is all across the country, frequently coming to the bomb shelters. In Kyiv, it's actually almost every hour there is a siren. My hometown, Zhytomyr, was bombed during this night. Yesterday evening, the missile hit the residential building and also damaged significantly the hospital for newborn babies. And actually, that I know that hospital, I gave birth to my two sons there, and newborn babies with mothers, they had to hide in the bomb shelter. And this is happening all across the country. It's a devastating situation there.
the hospital where you gave birth to your children. They were in bomb shelters overnight. Daria, we saw you confronting the British Prime Minister. Do you feel that the world is hearing you?
I feel that the world is betraying Ukraine, particularly wealthy Western nations, which were telling to Ukraine to build rule of law, to build democracy, and to count on their support. But when Ukraine is being executed on the eyes of the entire world for building democracy, the world is staying on the border with Ukraine in Poland and is saying, sorry, but we can't even protect you from Russian bombs. And we are asking, we are fighting, we are not giving up, we are not going to surrender. We know that Putin is evil and that his organized crime, Russia, will bring even more evil if he will surrender. They will kill us, they will destroy us. And we are saying that we are ready to fight. Just keep helping us protect to hit Russian missiles, which are destroying our hospitals and our kindergartens, our schools, and protect the sky in order to evacuate at least children.
Are you asking for U.S. troops to come help in Ukraine?
No, I'm not asking for U.S. troops. I'm asking for air defense systems, which are already at the border of Ukraine, sitting in Poland, in Baltic states, in Romania, in Bulgaria, to hit Russian missiles over the territory of Ukraine. So these missiles, they are being, Russia already sent hundreds of these missiles. They are flying hundreds of kilometers, and then they are hitting residential areas. They are hitting oil reserves. They are hitting roads. They are hitting hospitals. And there is no guarantee that they will not hit now nuclear power plants in Ukraine. And we have 4 of them. And that's a very legitimate question to the NATO. It's a ultimate security risk for NATO. If nuclear power plants will be bombed by Russia, you can't put the fence on the border and say, "Oh, it's Ukraine. You deal with that. We are fine. We are afraid to even shut Russian missiles to protect you."
This morning, you wrote, "There's no difference between oligarchic networks and terrorist networks." What do you mean?
I mean that Putin enabled such kind of violence because he parked all his enormous wealth across the world, particularly in NATO member states, using oligarchs. And these are very wealthy individuals who are telling everyone that they are businessmen. They are not businessmen. They are simply the wallets and asset holders for Vladimir Putin. And for decades, Vladimir Putin was embezzling his country, was using this money in order to park and buy the most expensive mansions and yachts and private jets across the world. And then he used the wealth which he accumulated in order to oppress civil society in Russia, to finance propaganda in Russia and whitewash and brainwash people and citizens in Russia. And he used all that money also and power in order to trigger this devastating war on Ukraine. And these oligarchs, they are not oligarchs anymore. We have to treat them as war criminals who were financing and supporting the terrorism performed by terrorism state of Russia.
Ladies, women, young ladies, it is time. We have to up our game. It's some stuff that we have to do. We have to learn how to go back to basics. How to make bread. Possibly how to make butter. How to grow something in a garden. It's time that we step up to the plate and think about what's going on in this world today and how we can protect ourselves for the future. There's a report that came out today. I'll do another video on it about global warming. How the sea will be so hot, the fish will die, the water will be not good. It's time. The earth is warming up. We have a war, we have disease. And this is Bible prophecy, whether you know it or not. So what are you going to do? How are you going to go through this? Are you going to step up to the plate and give it all you have? You know, think smart about it. Planning. Start planning now. put back for canned goods and put back for water and learn how to make bread, learn how to cook, learn how to plant, learn how to grow, learn how to protect yourself.